welcome to SVGTV News for Wednesday, March 17th, 2021. I'm Triska Campbell with the details. Following a vote by members of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Teachers Union to not attend the three-day period designated by the Ministry of Education for Professional Development, which began today, March 17th, to Friday, March 19th, schools across St. Vincent and the Grenadines have reported varying numbers of attendance by teachers. Early in the day, our news team visited several schools in the Kingstown area where there were almost full attendance. We get more in this report. Months interacting with students online due to COVID-19, principals and teachers in the Kingstown area say despite the decision taken by members of the SVG Teachers Union last Sunday, March 14th, to skip the Ministry of Education's three-day professional development session, they are eager to return to the classroom. Hence, they've decided to participate in the exercise, which the ministry says is for consultation on the evolving protocols for the reopening of schools set for April 12th. At the schools we visited in the Kingstown area, teachers' attendance ranged from 85% upwards, indicating high levels of participation in the ministry's professional development session. The sentiments expressed by the teachers we spoke with off and on camera are similar. While they are not necessarily going against the union, they love their jobs and they say they miss their students. It is simply time to get back into the classroom to engage in face-to-face learning.
Nearly all my teachers showed up today. 33 out of 35 were in school today.
While I understand the union's position, I love my children and I tell them so every day. I miss seeing their faces. I miss knowing that they understand what I said or don't understand so that I could go back over that concept. And we have to return at some time.
I love my job very much. And I'm getting paid to do a job.
We had 50 teachers out of 57. There's a camaraderie among them because they feel that we should discuss a way forward.
Speaking on the measures in place to keep students and teachers safe, the head of some schools say they are in discussion with their staff on the best way forward to protect themselves and students by building on existing protocols put in place last year while schools were in session. While most teachers are eager to return to the classroom and protocols are being ironed out for them to do so, most are hesitant to take the COVID-19 vaccine. We understand that a school in Kingstown where there was an average of 40 teachers in attendance, only 5 have taken the jab, while at others, the numbers ranged from as low as 3 to none at all. SVGTV also observed health officials in action, ready to vaccinate the teachers.
People maybe just need a little time to get their head around the idea. I think that it came on quite suddenly, and we all got the opportunity to take, and I took it. I want to kick out the COVID.
I did my research. I realized that nothing is foolproof, but with everything else you have to take that chance. And bearing in mind that I have my own personal health issues, my mother does, and I have an asthmatic nephew at home, I decided it was better that we took it, and so we took it as a family.
Most of the teachers really want to come back in the classroom, but I don't think that they want to be forced to take the vaccine to come into the classroom. Some of them, they will use the protocols as established, but some of them saying they're not ready yet.
I'm willing to take the vaccine, but I have to dialogue with my doctor first.
Questions surrounding the safety of the school environment still remains. However, teachers appear to be willing to adhere to current safety protocols in order to return to face-to-face learning. At present, support for the SVG Teachers Union's position and the COVID-19 vaccine seems to be low, at least for schools in the Kingstown area. Reporting for SVGTV News, I am Shafsha Speedwell Callum. President of the SVG Teachers Union, Oswald Robinson, claims that teachers are being intimidated to return to school for the three-day professional development exercise. However, the union is satisfied with the support it has received on the agreed position taken at the emergency general meeting last Sunday that members will not physically attend sessions. In a telephone interview with SVGTV News, Robinson said, based on the reports received, there have been varying levels of attendance today of teachers at schools island-wide.
Well, we got information that there are some schools where there are no teachers. Well, in the Grenadines, southern Grenadines, there's some schools where there are no teachers. In some other areas, you have 50%, 20%. The numbers vary in different areas.
Robinson said he has received reports of teachers being intimidated to turn up to school for the 3-day professional development exercise, which he said is against the Constitution.
What has happened today is that there are some persons who are intimidating the teachers, and they fail to realize that is unconstitutional. Based on our Constitution, you're not supposed to be intimidating persons for their freedom of association and the right to the freedom of expression. And the teachers are speaking now by not showing up for work. There are ILO conventions also that speak to that same issue of interfering and intimidating workers when they are involved in legitimate trade union activities.
Robinson called on principals whom he claimed have been pressuring teachers to attend school for the 3-day exercise to provide their staff with correspondence from the Ministry of Education which stipulates any adverse consequences of non-attendance.
There is a number of principals, which I said in the press conference yesterday, would call teachers and ask them to report for duty. That is normal. The principals are carrying out their responsibility based on the request from the Ministry of Education. But what I find very annoying is that the threats we are hearing, we have not seen any documentation. We are getting feedback that principals are telling the staff that the ministry say this and the ministry say that. All circulars from the ministry must be circulated to the staff, including the union's rep, which is the steward at the school. So we are asking the principals to produce that written information from the Ministry of Education. And we have been checking our emails also, and there is no correspondence from the Ministry of Education concerning putting writing why you're absent, and if you're absent, that your salary will be deducted. Teachers are not daily paid. Teachers are monthly paid. The issue is, there again, if that is the case, the Ministry of Education and the government is violating the collective agreement.
Robinson said the union representatives at the various schools will be computing official turnout numbers for the ministry's 3-day professional development exercise, which the union said should be held virtually at another time. And Minister of Education Curtis King said that it is not mandatory that all teachers take the COVID-19 vaccine. However, he is encouraging them to do so. Responding to a question in Parliament yesterday by opposition MP Terence Oliver on what protocols have been put in place to prepare teachers and students to safely return to school, the Education Minister said that protocols are being updated in preparation for the reopening of schools on April 12th.
The Ministry of Education has asked all teachers to return to school from March 17th to 19th, 2021 to begin their preparatory work for the pending reopening of school on April 12th. We have concluded the process of sensitizing our teachers on the COVID-19 vaccines, and we are confident that the government has provided a vaccine, and thus we are asking all teachers to take the vaccine.
The Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment is aiming to vaccinate 70,000 persons here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines within a 7-month period. Responding to a question by opposition leader Dr. Godwin Friday in Parliament yesterday about the government's plan for the vaccination of the population of SVG against COVID-19 virus, the target number of people it intends to offer vaccination to, and whether there is enough vaccines for all who intend to be vaccinated. Minister of Health, Wellness and the Environment, Sinclair Prince, said that the recommended percent of the population required to attain what is deemed as a herd immunity is 50 to 70% of the population, noting that for 70% of the Vincentian population to be vaccinated, the country will require 140,000 doses of the COVID-19 vaccine.
Currently, we have in hand 40,000 doses, and we expect 45,000 doses by the end of May 2021. That's from the COVAX facility. We have already received the purchase documents from PAHO on March 11, 2021. Therefore, we will have enough for the first dose that's for 70,000 people by the end of May 2021. We anticipate, Madam Speaker, that before the end of May, we will have received an additional 90,000 doses purchased through the State Charitable Trust to allow for the administration of the second dose due 10 to 12 weeks after the first AstraZeneca administration.
Minister Prince further told Parliament that up to Friday, March 12th, 8,269 persons have been vaccinated, and the ministry is doing all it can to get more persons to take the jab.
Over the weekend, we haven't got those figures in as yet, but I think by now we should have 8,500 persons in all. And we have been going to these places, as I said. We have done the drives in Sandy Bay, Georgetown, Barrowley, Kittels, Chateaubelair, Layou, Caliacourt. We've been doing every day at Victoria Park. We've done at Port Elizabeth, Paget Farm, Union Island, and we'll continue to target the many villages and hamlets throughout the country. We have gone to the shut-ins, people who can't leave their homes. We have mobile teams going to their homes and vaccinating these vulnerable people, and we will continue to do so. We have even done so on the street corners in certain villages. Stopped at the corner, call people, educate them, tell them about the vaccine, and then we vaccinate them.
The Health Minister also outlined the government's plan for the vaccination of the population of SVG against the COVID-19 virus.
The National Vaccine Introduction Deployment Plan was developed by the National Technical Working Group to guide the procurement, storage and distribution, demand generation and use of safe and effective COVID-19 vaccines in St. Vincent and the Grenadines for the largest vaccination program in the history of our country. This plan is a living document reflecting the constantly changing COVID-19 epidemic in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the COVID vaccine availability. Efficacious and safe vaccines are being sourced through various modalities, including 1, the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, that's local funding, the COVAX facility for the 5,600 doses of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccines, 3, donations from friendly governments. We know about the 5,000 Covishield from the government of Dominica, which came from India. It's also in the public domain that we got 40,000 Covishield from the government of India.
St. Vincent's and the Grenadines did not record any new positive cases of COVID-19 from 85 samples received and processed on Monday, March 15, 2021. The National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, however, noted that 375 recoveries were reported, bringing the number of total recoveries to 1,504. 168 cases remain active and 9 persons with COVID-19 have died. 1,681 cases of COVID-19 have been reported in St. Vincent and the Grenadines since March 2020. The public is urged to use a mask, sanitize, physically distance, and get vaccinated to reduce the spread of COVID-19 in SVG. The walk-in vaccination site at the Victoria Park is ongoing from 9 a.m. daily. The Social Workers Association of St. Vincent and the Grenadines joined similar organizations around the world on Tuesday, March 16th in celebrating World Social Workers Day under the theme Ubuntu, I am because we are. In an interview with SVG-TV News, President of the SVG Social Worker Association, Roselle Salmon, said that the social work profession has been undervalued for generations, but has triumphed over the past year as frontline workers have facilitated humanitarian efforts in the fight against COVID-19.
Theme poignantly asked us to look at the importance of human relationships at a time when human contact was restricted. This year's theme of Ubuntu, a South African phrase, speaks to seeing ourselves in each other in a time when we are all affected, still divided and uncaring. When our citizens are ailing and families have lost loved ones, essential workers are tired. This theme focuses on strengthening us, strengthening social solidarity and global connectedness. The promotion of social work and advocating for the voiceless, the abused, the discriminated and the disenfranchised continue to be our agenda despite the rage of the pandemic.
Salmon said that with a 24 membership, the SVG Social Workers Association continues to encourage partnership.
Our association boasts 24 members and continuing, and we continue to encourage partnerships and is a resource for all things social work here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Here in SVG, we are focused and found in non-governmental organizations, education, the family court, child and social development, in healthcare, also in policy and program development.
Ovan Llewellyn, who is a member of the association, highlighted the week of activities being held to commemorate World Social Workers Day.
The Grenada Association of Professional Social Workers extended an invitation to a virtual seminar on social work. On March the 24th, we're going to be having a media article release. On March the 30th, we're going to be having a presentation of a draft code of practice for social workers in SVG. And on March the 31st, we're going to be having a collaboration with the UE Open Campus. We're going to be having a debate on COVID-19 vaccines. Throughout March, we're going to be having a mentoring session with the youths at the Marian House.
A bill for an act to amend the law containing the Provisional Collection of Taxes Order 2021 was passed in Parliament yesterday, which gives way for the 1% increase of the customs service charge to take effect. The customs service charge was increased from 5% to 6%, which would mean that all imported items will attract this 1%, with the monies collected going towards payments for regional organizations that SVG have signed onto, particularly those dealing with public health and disaster management. The amount expected to be raised on an annual basis is 8 million EC dollars. The bill was tabled by Finance Minister Camilo Gonçalves, who said that SVG is one of many CARICOM countries which continue to face a difficulty paying these organizations, noting that over the last 5 years, these organizations have increased their charges, some by more than 100%.
Sidima. In 2015, it was $100,000. Now it's $200,000. It's a 100% increase. The hydrology and meteorology entity was $155,000. Now it's $250,000. That's a 61% increase. In CARICOM, in 2015, they were asking us for $654,000. Now they're asking us for $1.2 million, $1.16 million. It's a 77% increase. The OECS was 2.5, now it's 3.2. The seismic unit is 400 now. The Prime Minister says it's going up. But back then it was $190,000. It's risen over 110%, Madam Speaker. The Eastern Caribbean Civil Aviation Authority from $485,000 to $900,000.
Another bill passed in Parliament last evening was the automaticity of payments bill, which is twinned with the customs service charge bill. This bill will ensure that government's contributions to the regional bodies are automatically paid in a timely manner.
So it says that where a contribution with respect to a specified regional institution is approved in the annual estimates or by special warrant for any financial year, the Director General and the Accountant General shall ensure that the amount appropriated to the specified regional institution is paid automatically, in whole or in part, in accordance with the period specified in subsection 2. And then they say, well, it's either within 30 days or quarterly or in other installments, because different institutions have different payment arrangements. But the idea is here that the Director General and the Accountant General, once they have this pot of money, they will automatically pay these institutions according to the schedule.
The Finance Minister pointed out that despite the increase, SVG's customs service charge remains one of the lowest in the region. In his contribution to the debate on the 1% increase on the customs service charge, opposition leader Dr. Godwin Friday expressed disappointment with what he said was a non-consideration given to their request of having the bill delayed, noting that the people are the ones who feel the impact. Dr. Friday told Parliament that SVG is still dealing with a pandemic and the economic viability of the country is in a bad state, and now is not the time to put additional burden on taxpayers. The opposition leader pointed out that Vincentians can expect to feel the effects of the increase on their pockets when they go to the stores, as the 1% will be added to all imported items at customs.
Virtually everything we consume, especially manufactured goods, medicines, clothing, automobiles, machinery, school supplies, shoes, all of these things, Madam Speaker, we import. Food items, coconut oil, corned beef, sausages, what are some of the other common items? Potatoes, Irish potato. Everything, Madam Speaker, we import.
The other members on the opposition side who contributed to the debate said the tax is unfair to the people, particularly at this time.
Insensitivity on the part of the Minister of Finance and by extension the government to introduce this measure at this point in time, because this particular measure affects every single person.
Madam Speaker, what does this bill mean? It means that every importer, depending on the commodity, once you bring it through our customs and you're faced with that service charge, there will be a 20% increase on that service charge.
Point over a period of time, the government is sufficiently satisfied that this $1 will amount someday to $8 million. That's what they're saying. One is full basket. It's substantial.
And Prime Minister Dr. Alf Gonsalves said that SVG has been calling for a common regional draft bill to ensure regional bodies are paid for their services. However, this has never materialized. He explains that securing the monies for the regional entities put SVG at an advantage of being provided with their services.
And administratively, there is not a special fund here. It will be set aside administratively because the law is imposing an obligation that for these 10 institutions, they will cost less than the total amount which you would collect from the overall 6% customs service charge. If it's 1%, 1.5%, whatever for these 10. Because the bill also says that you can alter the schedule. You can add, you can delete.
The government has no legal obligation to pay severance to LIAT workers, but has not ruled out the possibility of compassionate payment for them. So says Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, who was responding to a question in Parliament yesterday by opposition Member of Parliament for East Kingstown, Fitzgerald Bramble, on the status of LIAT and severance payment for former Vincentian workers, and if the government will be making a compassionate payment to these workers. Prime Minister Gonsalves said that a compassionate payment will be considered, but has to go through a legal process, and that he still awaits a final report from LIAT 1974, which has gone into administrator.
If we give a compassionate gratuity to LIAT workers stationed here, and we have done this in many cases here, the extent of it we would have to work out, but there's a legal process which is going on, and we have to see where that is going, in the same way that we follow the legal process with Bookament.
Dr. Gonsalves said that while the Antiguan government has taken over LIAT, they should have been responsible for severance payments. However, the government has also stated that there is no legal obligation to do so, and that former workers of the regional airline may only receive half of what is owed to them.
To offer employees up to a maximum of 50% of their severance entitlement, either one or a combination of the following methods: cash, land, or government bonds. So they say they may provide some compassionate gratuity, some compassionate payment, because the Antiguan government itself is saying that it does not have a legal responsibility for the payment of the severance beyond what the process of administration rules out. And they say that, according to this, which they're prepared to offer, and the preliminary discussions, up to a maximum of 50%.
The Prime Minister said he is not pleased how things have gone with LIAT, and notes that the plight of the former workers.
We'll always seek to assist workers where they are disadvantaged. We will do our best. These things weigh heavily on me. For some persons, it's just a discussion point. For me, I feel the weight of it, and I know at the time it's very difficult.
Vincentian national Deverson Williams has been killed in Tortola in the BVI. According to media reports, the 38-year-old was pronounced dead at the scene after sustaining several gunshot wounds while in a vehicle in the Fish Bay area around 3:45 on Tuesday. Reports are that evidence indicates that a high-powered weapon was used in the shooting incident, in which Williams's vehicle and others nearby the scene sustained damage. The BVI police say following the incident, a search warrant was carried out on a property on Tortola, which resulted in a seizure of a loaded firearm and ammunition. 2 persons were arrested as a result. Police are investigating a report of burglary made by a 44-year-old businessman of Ashton, Union Island on Saturday, March 13th. The police say the complainant alleged that some unknown persons entered S&B supermarket at Ashton, Union Island as trespassers and stole a quantity of items valued at just over 4,000 EC dollars. Meanwhile, the police are investigating another report of burglary, this time made by a 46-year-old mason of Green Hill. According to investigations, some unknown persons reportedly entered the dwelling house of a 52-year-old chef of the said address and stole a number of items, including 2 bed mattresses, a 25-pound gas cylinder containing gas, and a blue-black JBL Bluetooth speaker. The total value of the stolen items has been placed at just over 1,000 EC dollars. The incident is said to have occurred on Sunday, March 14th at Green Hill. Persons with information that can assist this investigation is asked to contact the Assistant Commissioner in charge of crimes at 456-1339. That's 456-1339. The officer in charge of Criminal Investigation Department at 456-1810, or any police station or police officer you are comfortable with. The police say all information will be treated confidentially. In more police news, 2 females, both 20 years old, were arrested and jointly charged with 4 counts of theft. The accused are Afisha Francois and Shania Moisha Spencer, both self-employed of Arnesville. The police say the accused woman on 4 separate occasions allegedly stole a sum of money amounting to $2,160 in cash in the property of an 83-year-old retired businessman of the area. The incident occurred between February 24th and February 26th at Acres. Francois and Spencer appeared at the Calico Magistrate Court yesterday and pled not guilty to the charges. They were both granted bail. The matters were transferred to the Mesopotamia Magistrate Court for hearing on Friday, March 26th.